Hi there, YouTube. This is the Magnus, bringing you another Total War Warhammer 2 online ladder battle. This time my opponent chose to play as the Greenskins, and I brought the Skaven. And I thought this was a really interesting situation because my opponent elected to go extremely wide to match what he probably was expecting would be a large Skaven army, and that's exactly what he got. So we're both maxed out just about on units on the field. So let's take a look at what I brought and how I deployed. I brought two gutter runners. These guys are really good and good for harassing and getting behind enemy lines and firing their poison missiles. They're virtually impossible to catch. I use the word virtually, and you'll see in a bit why. But I've got those guys wide out to the left. I have a front line of one clan rat with shields and 4 Skaven slave with spears. Basically, I want these guys to eat charges, missiles, just anything I don't want to deal with. That's what they're there for. Skaven have great disposable units, so you should take advantage of that when you can. I brought 3 plague monks and 2 of the plague monk censer bears in case some black orcs showed up, which in this case is not what I got. I brought 3 Skaven slave slingers. And I have them all ranked up a chevron because it increases their missile damage from 10 to 11, which is not a lot, but you have 105 unit models, so it can do some damage. Also, we'll talk a little bit later about why else I like these guys. They've got something cool about them. 2 units of rat ogres to deal with any large. 1 plague claw catapult because ideally you want to have at least a little bit of artillery as the Skaven, or you can go with the Doom Wheel, and it just kind of depends. The Greenskins tend to be an infantry heavy faction, so I like the catapult here rather than the anti-large cannon. Brought Lord Skrulk. He's by far the most competitive as far as lords for Skaven. Very good. And a Warlock Engineer who I just basically brought the Mortis Engine effect with. So that's pretty much what he's here for. And my opponent went with a very, like I said, very wide, very big build. He's got 2 Night Goblins on each side. I can't see these 2 over here. Shortly I will be able to see these 2. They're hidden for now, but that will change quickly. Also hidden are his Night Goblin archers and the Rusty Heirs. He has a big line here of Savage Orcs. Looks like 4 Orc Boys and 4 Savage Orcs. He does bring the Hammer of Gork, Wurzag, I believe on his piggy. Yes, he is. He is atop his piggy. And then in the back here, he has Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, which I thought would be pretty interesting as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at how things play out. So right away, I'm going to notice that he's got these Night Goblins over here when I move my Gutter Runners forward, and I'm going to go ahead and try to attack them. And my Plague Claw Catapult, as he doesn't have, I can't see his missiles. The best infantry I can see is Orc Boys, so I'm going to go ahead and open up fire on them. Start to do some really good damage. He's going to return fire, of course, with his artillery as well. Not really worried about it. Skaven, you bring a lot of numbers. We each have over 1,600 guys here, and Skaven, everything's disposable, and that's kind of what makes them fun. And I also believe the Skaven have the highest potential. They're definitely a tier 1 faction, and I think if you have good micro, which mine's decent, it's not good, it's not great, but if you have great micro, it's really amazing what you can do with a Skaven. So over here on the left, I'm going to try to get these Night Goblins tied up. I don't want them running around and getting the places I don't want. He's going to send these Squig Hoppers, which are one of the few things that have enough speed potentially to catch the gutter runners. But they're going to poison and slow them down some and do pretty good damage here just on that one volley. In the meantime, going to start committing on the front line here. You can see I've got some Skaven slave spears wavering. That's fine. They're there to eat damage. Artillery's done a really good number on these Orc Boys so far, just taking some punishment. Charges are coming in, so a lot of it gets eaten up by my Skaven slave spears. Same thing as far as missiles. That's exactly what I want, so that my higher quality infantry can get in there unimpeded and not having to deal with any sort of countercharge. So now I put the artillery down on the Rusty Heirs, really doing some good damage to them. Over here, my gutter runners got caught. They took some damage, but I was able to pull over the rat ogres, and they just absolutely slaughter the squig hoppers. My missiles here, I was saying earlier about how I like the Skaven slave slingers, and this is why. Wow, holy tongue twisters today. And that's because a lot of times people will make a move to get into your missile line. They'll shoot your missile with their artillery or their missiles. It's just normal thing to do. But these guys are not worth pursuing. They're not worth chasing. They're not worth focus firing on. So anything that these guys can draw as far as hate from the enemy is good. I mean, look at the kills, 2 and 3. Just, you know, they're not going to do a lot of damage. But if they can draw attention and get people, you know, to chase you around in the back lines and stuff like that, well then they're definitely worth their salt in that circumstance. So you're going to see with both of us playing with such huge armies, the battlefield is extremely chaotic, very micro intensive when you have this many units and, you know, all different types and stuff like that. But you can see the balance of power is in my favor. The infantry battles definitely go my way. I'm whittling down his units every chance I get to kind of send them into flight. And here in a bit, Wurzag's going to catch my attention as I get into his missiles here a little bit with some clan rats that I summoned, I believe. And you're going to see a foot of Gork here come down on clan rats with shield. Definitely going to do a lot of damage to those guys, and it did some hurt to these plague monks as well. But, you know, foot of Gork is really a lot of times not going to be that great against the Skaven unless they blob up, just because high value targets isn't really what they're known for. So you're going to see the last of his archers are starting to get inundated here. Lord Skrulk's coming in. He provides all kinds of nasty effects. Such a cool dude. I mean, he's got magic. He's good in melee. He's kind of hard to take down. You'll see the center. I completely dominate the center. The left has been won. Balance of power going even further in my favor. My Plague Claw Catapult, 95 kills, still firing away. You don't really have to worry about friendly fire as the Skaven, although I don't even know who they're shooting at. I think they were trying to shoot at the Savage Orc, and they're killing more Skaven than they are Orcs, I do believe. But that's okay. Wurzag uses his leadership buff, but there's really not much around him, if anything, that got affected by it. And he's going to go in here and try to fight Lord Skrulk. I appreciate his courage, but I don't think this is a fight he can win. Could be wrong. Stranger things happen. Another foot of Gork goes down here and just absolutely annihilates this little blob. So that was a much better foot of Gork. I might have wanted to put it here, but still, very good foot of Gork. It's going to cause a lot of my rats to run, but it's just going to be too little too late. There's too many rats all over the place. Definitely a challenge. I thought it was interesting to face such a large army as a Skaven. Almost felt like a mirror match and created a lot of micro challenges for me, which was cool. And I'm sure you guys noticed I had some units that you know, it took me a little while to pull them back in the fight. And that's because when you're playing the Skaven, these guys, they like to run away. But they keep coming back. They're gluttons for punishment. And it definitely creates a lot of work for you. But like I said, if your micro's good, or God forbid if it's great, I really don't think there's a faction that better rewards micro skills than the Skaven. So definitely something to think about. And not saying you can't play the Skaven with less than good micro skills. It's just things really open up to you when your micro is really good with this faction, because you can build these big, wide armies with all these different units and moving parts, and it's really hard to deal with. So anyways, let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Skrulk definitely did his job, only 29 kills, but that's fine. The Warlock Engineer was just there to drain. The Skaven Slave Spears did what they were supposed to do, which was die horrible deaths. The Clan Rats got 37 kills, primarily because he brought, you know, much softer infantry targets than I was expecting. Plague Monks did well. Censer Bears, not really, but if he brought Black Orcs, you know, if I didn't have these guys, I'd be very concerned, I believe. The Slingers provide excellent distraction, and they do put, you know, they put a little damage out there. They're not horrible. for the price, I should say. Gutter Runners did a good job. The Rat Ogres, this one especially, slaughtered a lot of people. The Artillery, I don't know how many, I don't know if it counts your friendly fire, so I don't know how many of those were enemies and how many were friendlies. Taking a look at my opponent's army, like I said, I think this is creative. I don't know, I don't know if it's good or not, to really be honest. I think you would want to have at least a little bit of a core, like a couple of Black Orcs, something really meaty to hold your center. Because as you noticed, I won in the center pretty quickly, having superior infantry. So I think that would be a good idea. The Squig Hoppers are interesting. I think potentially they could be quite good. Obviously here they definitely didn't pay off, so maybe it was the way they were used. But good game to my opponent. Having a lot of fun playing the new factions. Like I said, all 4 of the Warhammer 2 factions are top tier. I'm going to try to show you as much of them. But also I've been playing Wood Elves and some of the other original factions. Chaos, of course, my favorite. So I'm hoping to bring you more videos soon. Until the next time, this is the Magnus, and I'll see you on the ladder.